Good morning. We are extremely pleased that you are here. It is good to come together for the purpose of co-creating. Do you agree?
Yes.
Yeah. Co-creating at its best. You are knowing what you are wanting?
Yes.
Your lips say yes, but your vibration says, what? So it's been very nice visiting with you. We'd like you to go out into the world. You are more than these bodies. You're coming to know that. And that is a key part of anything that you will happen to get or know as a result of playing with us. You are more than these physical bodies, and we so want you to know that. That larger part of you that existed before you came into this physical body still exists even though you are in this physical body. And that is such an important thing for you to know. It's so good when you know that all of you isn't here in this physical body. But it's really, really good when you know that you can find thoughts and therefore vibrational patterns. If you keep doing it, you call it beliefs. And if you really keep doing it, then it is your knowing. It is such a wonderful thing when you begin to consciously know that you can find vibrational resonance through the power of what you're focusing upon here with your mind today or any day. And that in finding that vibrational resonance, that larger part of you who existed before you came into this physical body, that larger part of you who still exists even though you are now in this physical body, that you have found such resonance with that larger part of you that it is now part of this conversation that you're having with these people you love, or this driving experience that you're having as you're moving down the freeway. When you start tapping in, tuning in, turning on to the wholeness of who you are, not only do you feel wonderful, it feels so good to really include all of you in the conversation. Not only do you feel really, 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 really wonderful now, meaning full of fun, full of clarity, full of sureness, steady, full of that vitality, eagerness for life, that tuned in, tapped in, turned on feeling. It's just the best of all feelings. And when you are here in your physical body, and by virtue of your practiced thought, you are now choosing thoughts that hold no resistance to who you really are. In the absence of that resistance, you allow that full connection. The gap closes between who you're being right here, right now, and who you really are in terms of all that you've become. When you first start out your day, well, anytime really, but mostly when you first start out your day, it's like you get to choose which disc you get on. In other words, it's all spinning and law of attraction's gathering it up from wherever you are. And if you had an argument with someone last night and you're repeating it in your mind this morning and you're defending, you're justifying, you know that you were right and you know that they are wrong and you're irritated that they are stubborn and you're all geared up really wanting to find a way to express to them with greater clarity what you know so that you can finally convince them of the rightness of what you are offering about, you get a pretty good vortex going there, and that's the vortex that you've chosen. And even though you've asked for all kinds of things up here, you don't have access to them. But you know what? You do have access to all kinds of things that feel like this. Haven't you noticed that when you're ornery, everybody within a 12-mile radius who is ornery jumps on your disc with you? In fact, people who have never been ornery before become ornery just for you. If they even have slight ornery tendencies, you're going to rendezvous with them, you see. You are vibrationally choosing your points of attraction. And law of attraction is matching you up with experiences and people and thoughts and images that are in the same vibrational frequency. And in the same way, you cannot set your radio dial on 101 FM and listen to what's being broadcast on 97 FM. The frequencies have to match up. You cannot be on one frequency and receive something from another frequency. Law of attraction is making sure of that. But you can be aware of what your frequency is, and you can do something about it. And you can do some things in an easier way than you've been attempting. And the reason that we are speaking to you in this way is because we know that through life you've developed patterns of thought, you've developed beliefs, you've developed ways that you look at things. And some of them, a lot of them in fact, serve you very well. And some of them, a lot of them in fact, are not serving you very well. But you're all over the place with them because you have not been evaluating the content of your thought by its vibrational nature, by its point of attraction nature, by its relationship with your vortex nature, by its relationship with who you really are. You have not been evaluating. You've been evaluating it by the loudest squeaking wheel, or by the people who are up closest to you, or by the news media gets the most attention. You've been evaluating it in screwy ways. And we want to help you to understand that once you get hold of your understanding of what your emotions are about, and once you care about the frequency that you are broadcasting, because you want to claim what you've put into your vortex. You want to claim what you've put there because it is through life that you have created it. It's through life that you have expanded to that. It's through life that you have become that. And it's time for you to experience the fruits of your sifting and sorting experience. It really is. You'll have that experience when you croak. We love that word because it's so disrespectful of death, since there isn't any death. We love it when you croak because when you croak, you claim that vortex. That's when you find full resonance with all that you've become. We just don't think you should have to croak to claim resonance with all that you've become. We think it's time for you to begin consciously experiencing it now. So, as we visit with you here today, we want to talk about this momentum. And we want to bring you to the place of really understanding that when you are in vibrational alignment with who you really are, when you've practiced yourself into that vibrational frequency so that you are predominantly there, that's when you actually begin to live your life in the powerful, co-creative way that you've intended. That's when true life begins for you in the way that you planned. That's when you really get on the trajectory that you intended when you made the decision to come here to begin with. So, over time, we said to you, you create your own reality and you get what you think about whether you want it or not. And then we began to explain to you that when you know what you don't want, you launch a vibrational rocket of what you do want. Now, that was never a very satisfying conversation for you because we're talking about rockets that you can't really see going into what we began to describe as the vortex. Oh, that was fun. The vortex of creation. It was such a good concept, such a good way of explaining to you. We wrote a whole book about your vortex, saying to you, get into your vortex, get into your vortex. Because when you've launched a rocket about what you want, and you've done it and done it and done it and done it and done it, there is a reality, a vibrational reality that is ready to reveal itself to you in full manifestational form, but you've got to be a vibrational match to what you're asking for. So we began talking to you about this vortex of creation, and many of you resonated with it. You got the idea of it, that there is a vibrational reality that is in place before there is a manifested reality. But it's hard for you to make that jump in most cases because you are so accustomed to translating things visually and auditorially and with your nose and your fingertips and your tongue. You're so good at that when we talk about a vibrational reality that you cannot see and that you cannot hear and that you cannot smell or taste or touch, it wasn't as real as you wanted it to be. And then we began to explain, but you can feel your way into it. When you're happy, you're there. When you feel elation, you're a vibrational match to what's in there. And if you can keep it up, if you can keep the momentum going in the direction of what you want long enough, and it's not that long, if you can hold yourself in vibrational steadiness with who you really are and what you really want, a momentum will ensue that will be realized by you in full manifestational form, so that in time, everyone around you will be able to witness the manifestation that has moved from the vibrational reality into what you want to call reality. You don't want to call it reality until you can sleep with it or spend it or eat it or live in it or drive it. In other words, we get it. You want it to be about your spaces and faces and places. We get that. But we want you to understand that everything that everybody wants, no matter what it is, whether it's a material object or a relationship or a state of being or a pile of money, a circumstance, an event, everything that everybody wants is for the singular reason that you believe you will feel better in the having of it. And we want to remind you here today that not only will you feel better in the having of it, we can't even find words to explain to you how glorious clarity is, how wonderful it is to be chronically connected to this stream of well-being. So now we have another way of explaining it to you. So the vortex, which is the vibrational reality, which some of it you're allowing yourself to live and some of it not. This vortex has enough in it to keep you busy for 20 or 30 lifetimes. So if you can relax and expect good things to come to you, then more of the things that you've defined begin to flow specifically into your experience. It's such a nice thing. So we began describing to you that you've got to prepare yourself for the content of the vortex to reveal itself to you. So as you hold yourself in vibrational difference from the vibration that is in your vortex, then you disallow yourself the full manifestation of it. So we began talking about your point of attraction. What is your point of attraction? What is your right now, in this moment, in every moment, relationship with what you've created, with what's actually in the vortex? Well, you can tell by the way you feel what your relationship is. But you can also tell by how things are turning out for you. So we began describing this vibrational grid. It's like a vibrational state of being that will fill in with all of the details. It's like the framework of a house. First the framework goes up, and then eventually they put the roof on and the walls go in and more detail comes to it. But initially there's a sort of a grid-like structure, and we want you to be aware that you've got this grid-like structure going on all the time that you have control over, that most of you have not been exercising your control as much as you can, or even hardly at all, because you've been observers of things rather than determined that you're going to prepare a grid, a point of attraction that matches what's in your vortex. So as we began describing this point of attraction, this grid, reminding you that your emotions are your indicator of really where your grid is. So if you recall the conversations that we've had about the emotional scale, where there is despair or powerlessness, and there is revenge, and there is frustration, and there's hopefulness, and then there's love and eagerness and all of those things that feel so good, appreciation. So this emotional scale, we want you to now superimpose over this emotional scale of not feeling good to feeling really good, these spinning discs, your point of attraction. So Esther began thinking to herself, what disc am I on? She'd say to someone, I'm on the ornery disc, so you might want to stay away. But the truth of it is, no one can stay away because law of attraction is so powerful, especially if there's momentum going. So what really happened is, even though Esther said, stay away, I'm ornery, really what happened, other ornery people joined her on her disc. And then when they would get there, she would say, you're really ornery. I really don't like you being here. And they would say to her, well, you're ornery too. I really don't like you being here. But here we are, ornery together, just like law of attraction says that we must be. So if you really want to know what disc you're on, just look around. If there are ornery people around you, that's your disc. Because they're not getting on otherwise, you see. They cannot defy law of attraction and jump on, oh yeah, I was on a high-flying disc, I was doing so good, I was just soaring, and then you showed up. No, that's not really what happened. No, I was worried about you showing up. I remember the last time you showed up. I was tensing against you showing up. I was remembering how much I didn't want you to show up. I was shouting, no, don't show up, and then you showed up. That's really how it happened. In other words, law of attraction is a very powerful thing, you see. And so Esther started having fun with these discs. She said, Abraham, it's like the 7 dwarves. There's the happy disc, the grumpy disc, the passive-aggressive disc. She's up to about 200 dwarfs now, as she's finding all kinds of places in this range of emotions. So we want to call your attention to your point of attraction. That's really what we want to talk about. Because if you will take it upon yourself as your conscious responsibility to choose the disc that you're on and then stay there deliberately by thinking about things that make it easier and easier for you to stay there, then you're going to start rendezvousing with more and more that makes it easier to stay there until you will have a momentum going that will keep you chronically, usually